Hi everybody, welcome to this month's episode of Cronin's Corner. Thank you for being with us today. I am pleased to be joined by Dan Bachant, Fitchburg resident, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Principal of Leominster CTEi.
Correct.
Principal, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
For those who don't know, could you talk about the school that you lead and how it fits into kind of the broader system in Leominster?
Yep, sure I can. We're part of a comprehensive high school. So we have a vocational component and an academic side. There are about 1,900 plus students in the entire building. A little over 800 of them attend the vocational school. We have 14 vocational programs. 12 of those programs are in what we call the exploratory program. And I can go into exploratory a little bit if you want me to.
Yeah,
so
we can do that.
In order to get selected into a vocational school, we have an exploratory program where all the students compete against one another for positions in that program. And the reason they have to compete in our building is we just can't take them all. I just sent an email out this morning saying we have to stop accepting exploratory students because...
And this is ninth grade? Or?
Ninth grade,
Yep.
That's correct, the freshmen. So we just sent out an email saying we have to stop because we have 310 kids and we only have 168 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the year, we're going to take 168, and the rest of those kids, unfortunately, I just don't have the room for them. And so we also have two additional programs, health assisting and business technology, that are not part of the exploratory program, and that's because of the academics that they need. They need to get started right off as freshmen with a heavy academic load, and they can't waste time just going through all the other shops. Those kids know what they want to do, and they want to get right into that program. But.
So before we dive like really deep into everything that's going on under your roof, how did you get into this business, and what's your background, and
Sure.
how, what's
Sure. So I graduated from Fitchburg State in 1987 with a bachelor's degree in education. I was an industrial arts teacher back in the days when we had IA shops. I went to Wachusett Regional High School. And
we can forgive you for that.
Thank
right?
you very much.
Yeah.
The Mountaineers, go Mountaineers, unless they're playing Leominster.
That's right. That's right.
But I graduated from there. My dad was an administrator in Clinton, but before that he was an IA teacher, and it kind of steered me in that direction. I really liked to work with my hands. I loved learning all the different trades, if you will, because those IA programs were like mini vocational trade programs, and they helped me to get where I am now. I went and got my first teaching job out of college at Narragansett Regional High School. I had 6 classes a day with 18 kids in the shop by myself.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Baptism by fire,
Yes.
I think is what they would call that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I did that for 3 years, and then I was riffed. There was a Prop 2.5 override in that district, and it didn't pass. And I remember the day the superintendent, assistant superintendent, principal, assistant principal came to me and said, "Dan, we're going to take you to lunch." And I kind of jokingly said, "Was this the Last Supper?" And they just kind of looked at me, and I said,
"You won't be around for supper, right?"
That's good. So
we can laugh now. But
yeah,
I'm
we
sure,
can.
yeah,
At the time, I was young. I just had a kid. I had a good career. It was my 3rd year. I was going to get tenure or professional status, and my whole world blew up. And I ended up going back into the field and left education, kind of with a sour taste in my mouth. Like, I did all this stuff.
All the right things. Yeah, I've been working my
and something totally out of my control blew it up. So I worked in industry for 9 years, and then I said I missed the teaching, and I was tired of the job I was doing, so I started to look. It didn't take me long. I think the first night I looked in the paper, it said Leominster Center for Technical Education is seeking a carpentry teacher. And
timing is everything.
And that's
right?
what I'm a carpenter. That's what I filled out my resume and everything, and I drove to Leominster on my way to work. I worked down in Hudson at the time, and I dropped off my resume and cover letter, and I got a phone call that afternoon, and they said, "Can you come to an interview tomorrow afternoon?" And I said, "Yeah, I can be there about 4." interviewed, great interview. I came out, there were 3 other candidates sitting there. I said, hey, good luck, guys. Went home. My wife said, how'd it go? And I just started to tell her how it went, and the phone rang, and they said, Dan, we'd like to offer you the job. And I said, seriously? Yeah. So that's how it started. And that was almost 25 years. It was 1999.
And so what has your path at the school been? So you started out as
a carpentry teacher. And then my boss, great guy, Dave Fiandaca, had been there for 40 some odd years.
Yeah.
Needed help. And I was in my 14th year, and there was nobody helping. He was trying to run a whole school by himself. No assistant, no co-op coordinator, nothing. And I made the decision to go in there and help, and I've been there ever since. I started out as the co-op coordinator and the shop coordinator and the assistant principal. And then he retired 4 years ago, and I took over as principal, and here we are.
And it's a family affair over there at Leominster High School too, right? So you're
I have an identical twin brother, Dave. Dave was the principal at David Prouty down in Spencer for a couple of years, and he had enough of that. He wanted to go back to being an assistant, and the job opened up at the high school. And he applied, he got the interviews, and he got the job.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, what I love about the model that Leominster has, I think it's a model that should exist everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a comprehensive high school with vocational programs that are offered in the building under the same roof.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody knows this, but across the state, there's a huge shortage of not just workers, but there's a limited capacity for the Chapter 74 and the vocational programs that are offered. And all of the programs that we have are oversubscribed. I think Leominster has the best model, and I would hold it up to anywhere else in the state.
Well, thank you. I agree.
Yeah, right. But a part of it is that the ability for kids to do the exploratory, to go to see if it's for them, and I think it's a great model because it allows kids to think really seriously at you know, once they're in the building, you know, what's my path going to be? Am I, you know, do I want to pursue AP and college courses? Am I going to, you know, is that my goal?
Yeah.
Or is there an opportunity to get ready for the local or regional workforce?
And that's an additional thing that we do at our school. We're flexible.
Yeah.
If a student thinks they may want to go on to college and they want to take some AP courses, but they want to learn this trade and they're not sure, they're kind of on the fence, we will adapt their schedule in their junior and senior year and give them a period, because they're in shop all day, every day, every other week when they're a junior and a senior. So we'll say, if you need a period a day,
go out and do it.
Go up and do your AP class and come back down. And usually those kids are upper echelon kids that can keep up and not miss a beat anyway.
Sure.
So it's a win-win.
You know, the thing that I hear as a state senator and elected officials everywhere across the state, really across the country here, is the dire need for local and regional industries to find a skilled workforce.
I agree.
You know, one of the things that we have talked about is how do we increase the capacity for programs like yours? How do we sustain the programs that you have? But one of the things that I love are the partnerships that you guys have created with people who are out in the trades in the area through things like co-op. Can you talk about what the co-op program is, and you know, if there are people watching at home, how they can get involved or maybe partner with their business and your school?
I am not the product of a vocational education, but I grew up in a hard-working family. My father did construction when he was a kid. My mom was on a farm. They raised their food, they raised cattle, everything. We learned hard work. When I was a kid and it was a snow day, we'd be like, hey, snow day, and Dad's like, get your boots on, grab your shovels, we gotta clear these driveways. And we were helping the neighbors and everything. You know, when it was summertime and my friends wanted to go play baseball, hey, before you guys go, you gotta mow all the lawns here, let's go. You know, and that's how it was. But we learned from at a young age that hard work pays off, and we learned that I enjoyed hard work. To this day, physical labor gives me the most enjoyment, because at the end of the day, you look back at where you started and you see progress. And there are some days, even as a principal, where you go in and you are busier than a one-armed paper hanger, and you're putting out fires and you're making plans and everything, but you come in the next day and there's more fires to put out,
you're ready to be a state senator. Yeah, it's
I can only imagine.
Yeah, you're
I can only imagine at that end.
Yeah.
But the co-op program, the best part about it is any student that's in a vocational program halfway through the junior year, they're eligible to go out on co-op, cooperative education. And we assist them in finding a contractor, a company somewhere where they're looking for help. And our co-op coordinator, Mr. Kine, Chris Kine, great guy, great assistant principal, great co-op coordinator. He will go out and meet the company if it's a new company and explain, what we're looking for, what our agreements look like, and they're mandated by the state. And the co-op coordinator, we have the co-op employer has to do a query check on whoever's going to be working with the student directly.
Can't go work for Walter White. Yeah, right. Yeah,
there you go. That's perfect. But once they meet all the criteria, that student has to also do their homework. They have to be recommended by the instructor as a good enough student that's prepared and ready to go out. They have to have a certain number of hours that they've worked in the trade that makes them eligible to go out. That's why they have to wait till the middle of the junior year.
Yeah.
And then they get the opportunity to go on an interview if the company wants to hire them. They are that employer's employee for the rest of that junior year through the summer if they continue to maintain that. And if they do that, they come back in their senior year, the first day of school, we contact the employer, make sure everything's still on the up and up, and that student goes out for the rest of the senior year, and then they walk out the door at graduation with a full-time job offer from that employer. And we have some kids that are just doing unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're getting paid prevailing wages.
And there's incredible opportunities to make some money as a young person too, right? I mean, there's a great middle class, upper middle class pathways and careers.
I mean, we have a student in plumbing who's doing welding, just one aspect of plumbing.
Yeah.
But a company over in Leominster wanted a welder, and they took a chance on this kid, and they came to visit the school and said, I got to tell you, this is the best welder we've ever had walk through the door. And this kid's a junior, 17 years old, and they're paying him $39 an hour. And he's working, he has all the hours he can handle. But we told him 40 hours when you're in school, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Summertime is your time.
I'm doing the math. He's making more than I am. Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then he just graduated last year, and they bumped it up closer to $60 an hour because they wanted to keep him with benefits, everything. I mean, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What are the industries that are knocking down your door the most? What is your assessment of the greatest kind of need here in the region in terms of our workforce and skilled?
All the building trades.
Yeah.
When you look at our HVAC program, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, every student but one was on co-op last year from the junior class through the senior class. There was only one student that didn't get to go out. He went out, but we had to take him back. It wasn't the right fit for him, and he probably needed a little more training.
Sure.
But that's pretty good. That's pretty popular. Probably a little over half of the electricians were out on co-op. We had over 75 kids on co-op last year, and when you're talking, classes that are 140 kids, it's
pretty substantial.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's a good chunk of kids, and what happens is when the other students see what these kids are doing and how much they're enjoying it.
And see the truck that they're pulling into.
They pull in, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little jealous.
I want some of that. Yeah.
But it's a great program, and it leads to the career, which is what vocational education is all about. We're not prepping them for college. We make sure they can get into college. You can go to vocational school and get right into college.
Absolutely.
From vocational education. However, we're trying to help feed the system of all those people out there in the trades, the building trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, and HVAC. We need to refill that pipeline because the average age is 57 to 59 years old. And
not getting younger, right? We haven't turned that tide
no,
yet.
not yet, not yet.
And what I love too is the kids who are successful in these co-op programs in the building trades.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to stay here, right? So I mean, a very real way where we're building out the middle class of North Central for the next generation.
It's interesting. I have graduates from when I was teaching shop 10 years ago come back, and they're the head of a construction outfit, and they're making well over 6 figures doing what I loved to do.
Yeah.
And it's just it gives you a sense of pride that we're doing the right thing.
And the opportunity, I think, is going to continue to be there, especially where we are in Massachusetts. Not at the state level, but the feds just passed $1 trillion infrastructure package. That money is going to continue to flow into Massachusetts and into central Massachusetts for the next 10 years. But who's going to be on those projects, right? And there's a lot of opportunity to participate in great careers and make a great living. So, where would you like to see the school go in the future? What 5 years out? Where would you like to see Leominster CTE, and where are some of the opportunities for growth that you need my help with?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge facing vocational education in the country, but definitely in Massachusetts, is the push, and we hear it from MAVA. MAVA is the Mass Vocational Administrators Association. We need to provide more opportunities for kids, and there are restrictions based on square footage as to how many students you can have in a vocational shop.
Right.
And we have shops, some of them, we have 300 kids. We don't have the room for all of them, and it stinks for us because we would
have
love
to turn people away. Nobody wants to be in that business.
Who wants to turn a kid away that wants to learn something because we love it?
Right.
All the instructors love it, and the kids that get in love it, and then these kids have to wait. It doesn't mean they can't do it. We always tell them that when we say, "I'm sorry you didn't make it." However, you still have the unions and so forth that you can join. When you get out, you can still go to work with a company or
get
a private
an apprenticeship program.
Yes. So we offer them that guidance if they need that help. But wouldn't it be great if 310 kids wanted to get in, and we said no problem, we took them all?
Absolutely.
Are you going to keep them all? No, there's probably a handful that don't want to be there.
And then it's not the right fit, right? And kids can go,
That's right.
go to the AP courses or try a different path.
But if they're making that decision, I feel better.
Sure.
Than us having to tell them, I'm sorry, you can't do this.
So for kids who are in middle school right now, or parents or grandparents who are watching, how do they learn more about the programming that the school offers and get a better sense of what it would be like to be a student? So
my co-op coordinator, assistant principal, and my guidance counselor will do a visit to every middle school in our district and do a presentation before the entire 8th grade class.
Yep.
And that will explain everything that we're talking about right here and all the opportunities that vocational education provides. And it will instruct them to see their guidance counselor and tell them that when you're filling out your schedule next year for your freshman year, make sure you check either health assisting, business technology, if those are if you want to get right into that, or exploratory. And if you get into exploratory, you'll go through the other 12 trades: auto collision repair, auto technology, HVAC, plumbing, ISSN, which is computer-based.
Everybody at home, make sure he gets all 12. He's about to run out of fingers.
Information, information support systems and networking.
I'm about to take my shoes off to make sure you get the last two. Yeah, count those.
Drafting and CAD, graphic communications, carpentry, electrical, electronics, another program that's heavy on the academics, but he wanted to participate in exploratory to get kids interested. Our culinary arts program, which is commercial baking, cooking, and food service management. We have a full-fledged restaurant.
Which puts out a great product, too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anyone in the community can come in. It starts up in about 3 weeks. It can come in and order lunch to go or dine in. And it's a nice experience, very affordable and delicious food. I think I got them all. One
of the priority industries here in North Central Massachusetts, and it's part of the Chamber's really vision for regional economic development is advanced manufacturing. And
Right.
we have a huge legacy manufacturing base here in Fitchburg and Leominster that we all know about, in Clinton with Jabil.
Yep.
There's a huge booming 21st century innovation economy going on at Devens in
Yep.
terms of life sciences.
Right.
Jabil has a huge footprint there.
Yeah.
Bristol Myers has their North American headquarters
Yep.
10, 15 miles away from where we're sitting right now, which is an incredible opportunity.
Right.
With an eye toward advanced manufacturing,
Yep.
which is really part of a broad plan for regional economic growth. What are the programs like, and what are some of the relationships that exist with your school and out in the community?
So we have some really good programs. I would put the machine technology, which has actually been changed. They changed the name from machine tool technology to manufacturing. That's the name of the program now. It's all CNC machining, and we have state-of-the-art equipment. Mr. McNamara has done a tremendous job. His wife used to work for the city in the Treasury Department and so forth. She has helped us write some of those grants that the former governor had, and we've put about $1 million worth of equipment into that program. When you walk in there now, it is a state-of-the-art VMCs, milling machines, lathes, CNC equipment, FANUC controls, and I know that all sounds like buzzwords, but it's what's being used in industry. Prototrack.
And it's the same thing. I have the same experience when I walk into Jabil on the floor, or I walk into Micron in downtown Fitchburg. I mean, these are state-of-the-art, clean, lean manufacturing with cutting-edge technology, but they need highly skilled workforce and laborers.
And our CTEi manufacturing instructors, Steve McNamara,
Yep.
and Mike Horn, are doing a fantastic job training these kids. We have had long-term relationships with Nipro Mold in Clinton, which transferred over to Jabil, and we have students working at Jabil, at Devens, and in Clinton, and at Nipro, and we have companies calling Steve McNamara, and he's taking vans with kids out to these companies, and he's showing them, and they're interviewing, and they're looking to hire more co-op students, and they're hiring these kids right out of high school to put them to work in these companies you're talking about.
And you're pushing a six-figure salary in these jobs pretty fast,
Absolutely,
too, right?
Absolutely. It's a really competitive place, and the wages. These kids are coming out way better than you and I did.
Yeah.
Way better than you
I'm
and
not
I
that old. But which leads me to my next question, though.
Yep.
I mean, how are the ways that, since you've been at the school, more than 20 years, and really since you've been in education, what are the ways that career and technical education has changed, either in perception or the nature of the opportunity itself?
Well, when I was a kid, if you wanted to be in vocational education, you had to go to Worcester Voc. And for us kids, we said, we're not going to go to Worcester. Mom and Dad are working.
I grew up here. All my buddies are going to Wachusett.
They can't drive us down there. So we had the industrial arts programs. And when Ed Reform came out in the early 90s,
changed everything.
They eliminated all those programs. And I have actually said this. I went to the MAVA Leadership Academy program. It's Leadership Academy 1 and 2 for people who want to be administrators in vocational school. I followed that path.
Yeah.
And they asked, what would you change if you could? I said I would put those industrial arts programs back in the regular high schools, because that is a feeder system for getting kids interested in the same thing we're doing in voc ed.
Right.
And for some reason, they just swept those away and put them away. They were great programs. And when I walk into my shops, my teachers, I go in there and I see what they're doing, and I understand the terminology and I know what they're doing, because I had mini programs and all, and they look at me, how do you know this, Dan? I said, because I was exposed to it.
Right.
All through high school, you could take these electives. They don't have that. So if a kid's unsure about voc, or at least get into an IA program. So if we could bring those back.
And to me, too, there's a big difference between a 13-year-old 8th grader who's trying to figure out, what when I was 13, I wanted to be the closing pitcher for the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
didn't work out. But by the time I was 15 or 16, I was thinking a little bit more seriously about what I was going to do in the future and what path I was going to take, what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion, and I couldn't agree with you more, but offering programs at comprehensive high schools to juniors and seniors
Yeah.
who are getting ready and making that choice. Hey, maybe college is next. Maybe
Yeah.
Mount Wachusett is next.
Yeah.
Maybe the workforce is next for me.
Right.
Is a better alignment for our system to just put kids on the pathway that they're going to take and make sure they're prepared.
The best part of a vocational education is when you come out of high school, you have all the skills you need to work in a particular vocation or trade.
Yeah.
And you can get a job anywhere with that skill set. If you decide to go to college, go ahead. We have kids that graduated from the programs. Last class that I had in 2014, 7 of the 15 kids went to Fitchburg State
Yep.
for construction management. They're all working in that field. They went in that field. But I guarantee you that the background they had as carpentry students and building 2 houses over
Set them up for success.
they're
Yeah.
out there and they know what they're talking about, where kids in college probably didn't know if they didn't have that same background.
And I love how you said they had the opportunity to build 2 houses.
Yeah.
What are some of the projects that the school takes on in the community that both educates the students and really gives back?
Going back to...
And do they have the ability to put a porch on my house?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They can. Yeah, you buy the materials,
Yeah.
we'll build it. They've, in the last 10 years, we've completely renovated the emergency management facility for the city of Leominster, the Spanish American Center.
Yeah.
Did work at the courthouse downstairs, new areas for storing files and all, framing metal stud walls, drop ceilings, trim, doors, paint, everything. We do a lot of work in the Gallagher building, which is where the central office is, to make room for different programs. We went up to, what's the park up by Leominster Rice? There's a park up the Barrett Park.
Barrett Park. Yeah.
They had a smaller
With
house.
the water up there.
Yeah, they
right
had a
the
small
pond, yeah.
house up there that they used for office space. We doubled the size of that, did an addition that replicates exactly.
Which is great experience for
Yeah.
kids to go out in the field and
we even got the HVAC techs in there and everything. It worked out great. We do all those kinds of projects. And then the mayor has said that he is working to try to get us a lot and a house to build. And he said, would you want that if I could get that? I said, absolutely, we'll take that. We'll take 10 of them. You can
Sure.
line us up for the next 10 years.
Yep.
So he's working on that. And in the meantime, Habitat for Humanity has asked us if we can help build a small ranch for them. And we said, we're more than willing to help. They just haven't broke ground yet or anything on that. So
That's unbelievable.
once they break ground, we'll give them a hand.
So I see an opening here.
Yep. Yep.
You're in the hot seat. There's nowhere
Yep.
to run.
Yep.
You're a Fitchburg resident.
Yep.
Principal of Leominster High School.
Right.
Can we get a very early prediction on the Fitchburg-Leominster game this year?
Well, I saw the outcome of the Fitchburg game last night against North Middlesex. It was not a good start. I think it was 42-7 that Fitchburg lost. Leominster has a good program, and they have. I was a football official for 35 years.
Yep.
I played football. My dad was a football official. I love. It's my favorite sport.
Yeah.
We've got this kid, Osiris Lopez. He is only a sophomore, and last year he went to the state playoffs and lost to Reading. In Reading, who had the #1 quarterback in the state, he went toe-to-toe with that kid, and the final score, they lost by 6 points.
As a freshman.
As a freshman, 51-45, and they lost with 11 seconds to go in the game. And Osiris had the ball, and he almost brought them back for a winning touchdown, but it fell short at the 40-yard line, and that was the end of it. But
That was it. But that story's not done yet.
really
right?
excited to watch this kid.
Good. So Dan, I can't thank you enough for all the work you do and everybody who works in your building for you.
Likewise to you for
Thank
all
you.
you do for us.
Thank you. So thanks for